What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Too Tall Sports Podcast. You can find me on social media at Too Tall Sports Podcast. You can also email the show, tootallsportspodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear your feedback. Let's get it. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Too Tall Sports Podcast. My next guest played professional baseball for 10 years. He was a former first-round pick of the San Francisco Giants back in 2007 out of high school. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona, and he was a first-team high school All-American back in high school. And he and I met when we were both traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and his name is Tim Alderson. What's going on, Tim?
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a long time, but I'm glad I could track you down.
Definitely.
All right. So I want to get into Tim's career a little bit. We'll talk about his stops during the minor leagues and kind of what he's doing now also after baseball. But he had a very exciting early career, so I want to dive into that to start with. So you were a really good pitcher in high school. At what point did you know that you were? Yes, you were. I looked up your numbers. At what point did you know you were like a dude in high school?
I was able to play varsity as a freshman and got a little taste of it and had good success, but didn't pitch that much. So going into my sophomore year, I had a good feeling that I would play a bigger role. And we had a really good team too. So we advanced further and further into the playoffs, and we ended up winning the state championship. And I got to pitch that game, and I did really well, and we won the state championship as a sophomore. So from that point on, I figured that a lot of doors were going to be opened, and this was going to be a potential future. So that was kind of the biggest eye-opening experience for me, was just having that success at a young age and then just taking off from there.
So your senior year, so sophomore, you're already pitching a state championship, so you're already ready for the big time, I guess. But senior year, you went 12-0, which is really hard to do. And were you thinking about going to college at all, or was it you're 100% I'm going to the draft no matter what?
No, I definitely was all about going to college. I had a great agent, Alan Nero with Octagon. They put me in a good position to kind of leverage the fact that no team really knew if I was going to sign or go to college. But I signed to go to Oregon State, and they were coming off of 2 national championships. So for me, it was like a win-win. I get to go to Oregon State. I had a great visit when I was there with Coach Casey and Marty Lease when he was still there. And then when the Giants called my name, I knew it was something I didn't really want to pass up. They had spring training in Scottsdale. I was living 10 minutes from the stadium, and I got to be home, and they're more of a West Coast team, even though they have some minor league teams on the East Coast. But, aside from the signing bonus, which was a good incentive to go with the Giants, it was a good fit for me at the time, and I definitely don't regret any of that.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to pass up going in the first round. Like, there's not much – you can't really do much better. So unless you want to try to be the number one pick, right? You were 20 you were 22nd overall in that draft in 2007 out of high school. And also, coincidentally, Madison Bumgarner was in the same draft. He was 10th overall. So you guys were the 2 big guns coming out of high school in together. Had you heard of him at all before in the draft?
Yeah, we met at the time it was the Aflac All-American game. So I got to meet him. It was the East versus the West. He's from North Carolina, so we didn't get to spend too much time with each other. We were on different teams, but he was very quiet and still is, but his name wasn't out and about like some of the other people because he didn't go to every showcase. But when he showed up and was on the mound, everyone was stopped what they were doing to watch because he had all the talent in the world and, left-handed throwing upper 90s. And, that's a dude that you'd want on your team. So it was cool to meet all those guys before the draft and, became really close to a lot of them, and watching them get drafted into different teams. So, it's a big honor to be a part of that draft with a lot of good talent. So it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So after your first summer, you get drafted. What was it like going from you just finished your high school career and now you're playing, you went to rookie ball first, which is like, for those that don't know, the lowest level of the minor leagues, but it's where all the young guys are. How was your transition from high school to pro ball?
It's a big one. There's no question. I was, I just turned 18, and was being thrown in a clubhouse for the first time, and had, kids from different countries that were my teammates. I couldn't even talk with them half the time because
Right.
of the language barrier. They were even younger than me, and also being in a room with a bunch of college players. So it was a really good mix, and I was able to go to the Arizona Rookie League right off the bat. Again, I was living at home, so I didn't have to go in the hotel right away. So I had that advantage. And then my first full season, I actually made the jump to high A and went straight to the Cal League, where again I'm playing with guys that are pretty much all college. I was I think the only high school kid in the league. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
huge.
youngest in the league,
You were what, 19 or 20 years old?
19. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my teammates were 23, 24 years old, and here I am sharing a bus on the same team as them and competing. So that was big. And then in San Jose, they give you host families. So it was another great transition for me. Had a really good host family, which I'm still in contact with to this day. And they took care of us and just first class all around in San Jose. So the first year was a great transition, the way it eased into it with the host families and great teammates and having success right off the bat. So not a whole lot went wrong that first year.
No, I saw that. As a matter of fact, I saw you went 13-4, and your ERA was under 3, and you were dominating that year. Did you feel like high school kids get a bad rap out of the draft? Obviously some do. I mean, you don't have that kind of personality, like the outlandish, obnoxious type, or you think you're still a god or whatever. But did you feel any of that kind of either jealousy from where you were drafted, or the money you got, or any of that stuff from the other guys?
I didn't, and I don't know if it's because I wasn't the top pick from the Giants. There was still, Madison was up there at number 10. So many of the eyes were on him still. So I was kind of able to float through it that first year. I mean, meanwhile, he's in Augusta putting up ridiculous numbers. And again, for him, he got to stay close to home, playing in low A. I got to be closer to home in high A. So the Giants did everything they could to make us feel comfortable and let us have that success right away, where he could have easily been in AAA his first year and had ridiculous numbers. So
Oh, wow.
they did a great job with that. But as far as getting special attention, I don't think I had any. My teammates around me kept me humble in the clubhouse, and it was just a great group of guys that, end up getting a multiple World Series rings, the Giants. So I think that speaks a lot to the guys that they had in their organization. So,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever felt that pressure of being that first rounder and having, higher expectations than my teammates. So,
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. That's good that you didn't have to deal with that. So your second year, you get to Double A. I think you started in High A that year, right? And then you went to Double A after that.
yeah, I was there for about a month. Madison and I went there, and then they told us it was just because it was super cold in Norwich, Connecticut. So
Makes sense.
they were getting rained out like every day. So they let us, get some good innings in the Cal League. So after about a month, they sent me, Madison, and Brandon Crawford up to Connecticut to finish the season.
Okay. And just for those of you that don't know, even though you did really well in the Cal League, it's not a pitcher's league. What are your thoughts on the Cal League as far as playing in that league as a pitcher?
Yeah, it's challenging. I think, unfortunately, San Jose is the only pitcher's park, if you can even call it that, in the whole league. We're traveling to Stockton and Modesto and Visalia. And then in the Southern Division, you have Lancaster and High Desert, Rancho, and then Empire. So the ball is just flying left and right. You're in the middle of California, wind blowing and high temperatures. So
Right.
there's not a whole lot going on there that pitchers want to be in that type of environment. So again, fortunately, it worked out for me where I had a lot of home games that I pitched. I think I had 18 or 19 home starts.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
crazy. So, and maybe my number gets an asterisk next to it, but
I don't think so.
yeah, it's an easy travel league, but there's nothing glamorous about it. And again, San Jose's, fortunately, I was in a great spot, so
Right.
it was a good time.
So you get to Double A and you're pitching well. Did you feel like you were on the fast track at that point to get into the big leagues?
I did. Yeah, it's hard not to at that point because your coaches are telling you you're here in Double A, you're just a phone call away. You got guys that, whether they're on another team or your team, they're getting called up directly from Double A. In some cases, the Double A talent's sometimes more projectable and there's a lot of young talent, and in AAA you have some guys that are, they've been around the block for a while, and they keep some of that really good talent in AA. So there's not that big of a jump from AA to AAA and on after that. So I feel like if I could have success there, then there wasn't really any reason to have it stop or have any hiccups in AAA.
Right, and you were a first-round pick, so in general, you guys have some momentum behind you guys, or at least the organization. As long as you're playing well, they're going to give you a shot in most cases. Did you
Yeah,
feel?
and we were seeing that, especially with the Giants. They were not afraid to call people up at a young age and, take a gamble on someone because, their philosophy was if someone was hot, let's get them up here right now. I mean, you look back when Bum got called up, it was from AA that
Right.
year. So, it wasn't out of the realm to get called up at any moment from AA. So that just kept you more motivated every single day, knowing that you were so close.
Right. And then, as we talked about before, the turning point in your career was getting traded. So everything's going well. End of July 2009, you get traded to the Pirates. Coincidentally, just to share the story real quick, I was with the Mariners at the time. I got traded 2 days after Tim got traded also to the Pirates. So we both got traded to the Pirates. Did you feel like betrayed, or did you feel like, all right, this is my opportunity to get to the big leagues with this team? Where was your head at when that happened?
It was so weird. Like, as you know, it's not an easy thing to get traded. There's so much going on in your head that I was actually supposed to start that night. We were in Bowie, playing the Orioles AA team. So my head was I'm starting, I'm getting ready, and 20 minutes before the game starts, I get called in the office that I just got traded. So I was just like, do I go play catch? Like, I didn't know what to do at all. And like while I was in the office talking to my manager, like ESPN was playing in the clubhouse and they were showing me getting traded. So like I get out the door and our teammates were like, "Hey, you just got traded." I'm like, "What is going on right now?" And after talking to my family and my agent, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And I remember I called my best friend. He was playing the Cape League at the time. And I said, "Hey, I just got traded to the Pirates." And he was just like, "Dude, that sucks." And I'll never forget it because I was just like, I had such a wave of emotions. And he's like, "No, that's not good." Like, you don't want to do that. And I was just, I loved every minute with the Giants, and it was time to take that next step in the Pirates organization. But there's just so many unknowns that it was kind of scary. Like, what am I getting myself into? And I don't have any control of what's about to happen. And yeah, it definitely, things kind of took a turn for the worse after that, as far as my performance goes on the field. So it was definitely very strange. It took me 3 to 4 years to really kind of get over that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, and I know firsthand being with the Pirates and just different organizations in general. Some organizations are really big on mechanics and breaking every part of the pitching down as far as on that side of the field. Did you feel like they should, like, even though you were obviously I guess a funky delivery, some people would say, but
Yeah.
did you just want them to leave you alone? And did you feel like because they messed with you so much, it altered your career after that?
Yeah. What I always heard definitely going into the draft about the Giants was they picked their guys and they let them have success. And if they were having success, there was no need to really change it. Unless there was something major that they saw that would for me, it was like he never had a changeup, so let's work on that. But it was never, let's start looking at your film and breaking down different ways to throw. So when I got to the Pirates, they were in a weird phase where they were losing, 100 games a season, and they're bringing in a whole new front office, whole new coaching staff to basically change this overnight. And for me, it was the first time I ever watched myself really pitch on film and dissect it, and also having a throwing program to where I have to throw to a cone for 5 minutes, every single day, and I can only go a certain distance. Where for me, I love to play long toss, not think about my mechanics, and go out there and compete. And that's how I had success. And yeah, getting involved in my mechanics and breaking that down really slowed everything up. And from there, I really just felt like just a kid that was trying to learn a new dance and didn't know what I was doing out there. It's very hard to explain. It's kind of out of body. You're just like, I don't know what to do anymore. And you're trying to go out there and have results. And again, you're still in AA and you're one call away. but going to the Pirates, I had a hard time adjusting to all the additional coaching and, video that we did. And it didn't fit for what I was used to. And it was a huge change that, some guys who had gotten traded over like you, it was just completely different. And it was hard for me to watch, the Pirates were drafting, young kids out of high school and changing them at the drop of a hat the first day of spring training or instructs. And so, it took a while. And at one point I just said, I'm done with all that, and I'm going to take control of my own career, and showed up to spring training in 2012. And I told my throwing partner, I'm going to go until I get to the batter's eye. It's like, I'm going to play long toss as long as I want. And, all hell's going to break loose. So just keep throwing the ball back to me. And that's exactly what happened. We played long toss, and I got called in the office and, explained why I wanted to do that. But it took, that 3 years of just struggling, of trying to learn mechanics and breaking down every little movement. And it was very challenging.
I think that's crazy. I mean, I know exactly what you were going through. Like you get somewhere, you've had a lot of success already. You had a proven track record before you got traded. There was nothing to mess with there, but some people are like, nope, we're going to mold you to be exactly how we want every robotic pitcher to be. And you're going to throw our way. And it doesn't work for some guys. And mentally, as you know, with the mental side, it can mess with you. It screws you,
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember my first instructs with the Pirates, our pitching coordinator, who we don't need to name.
Yeah.
He brought every single pitcher. You were probably in this meeting. He brought everybody in, and he showed us how to throw a baseball. And this is exactly how everybody in here is going to throw a baseball the exact same way. You're going to throw, your arm's going to dangle at the end. You're going to throw with this big muscle, and you're going to have the same movement. And everyone went and played catch and did the same exact movement. And for them, and as an organization, it just seemed like as long as they had one or two guys have success, then that's all they needed to put their name on it. And then the other, everyone else was just kind of left to figure it out on their own. So
yeah,
it was very awkward, and I'm not trying to trash them. It just was very strange of how they handled that, especially coming from an organization where that didn't happen, coming from an organization that had success and didn't do this. And then the more trades they started to make and bring in guys like yourself, and I think Hunter Strickland got traded that same offseason.
Yeah.
We're all just like, this isn't going on in other organizations that are having success. What are we doing here? So
right.
It was very hard to go about that and kind of keep your mouth shut, because you want to be respectful and be coachable, because, again, I'm only 21 years old at the time. Like, maybe this guy knows the secret and maybe I can start throwing extremely hard and having even more success. So, but it just kind of puts you in, deeper and deeper into a hole where you can't get out of. And, you have guys around you that are having success, so you just kind of get left in the dust because, it just didn't work.
Right. And once you leave your original organization, unless you're the guy that they like coming over, it's hard to make it, because they're pushing their own guys that they drafted, And the Giants at that time they were winning the World Series the following year, 2010. They had a lot of success, and the Pirates were not close to a World Series at that point. So you got to wonder what the mindset was of them versus it's a funny thing how organizations think.
Yeah, I mean, they were bringing in guys that I didn't even know needed to be involved in baseball at the time.
Right.
Again, they were just trying to reinvent the wheel because they were having, terrible season over and over again.
Right.
So they brought in some, really good mental conditioning coaches, mental strength coaches that, I understand now that I'm, out of the game, what they're doing and what their role was, that I wish I took more serious. But it just, at the time, you're just like, no one else is doing this.
Yeah.
We had our Navy SEAL training on the beach, and we got guys getting injured, jumping into, mud pits.
Right.
And you're like, what does this have to do with having success on the field? And it was very hard to separate what was going on and why it was going on. So
yeah,
it just kind of made everything very complicated. And, you throw Pirate City on top of all that, and you're just like, what am I doing in my life?
So Pirate City, I'll explain that one. That is basically like a college dorm, but they had a lot of rules, and there's curfew, and some of obviously a lot of us were 21 or older. It's like, come on, dude. Like, as long as we're not doing anything stupid, we can handle ourselves, So yeah.
Yeah, I try to explain Pirate City to everybody because, and I think some other teams have dorms. There's the Tiger Town. I think maybe there's someone else too, but yeah, Pirate City, they lock you in and there's no way out. There's literally all the doors are locked. I think it's 10 o'clock. You can't even leave your room.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging to feel normal. And again, if you're not having success in the field, you just want to get away from it. And you literally can't do that at Pirate City. And, depending on who's on the internet, you don't have any Wi-Fi to connect to your internet. And it's very challenging. But again, I look back at it now and how much fun it was, playing Call of Duty or
Oh,
even,
yeah.
We had a little mini basketball hoop in your room, and we had
That's
a little
right.
dunk contest. So it definitely was a lot of fun. It was just like, again, no one else is doing this. It's hard to talk to my buddies on different teams, and I'm, locked in Pirate City. But again, it was a lot of fun looking back on it, having that time in Pirate City to just kind of hang out. But they definitely kept a very tight ship around there. So
yes,
it was different.
Yeah. So over the next few years, you kind of, it looks like you went up and down from AA, AAA, and did you get traded to Baltimore after
I did.
that? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, this was after the season, the spring training, where I just showed up to spring training and was just saying, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
Because I'm either going to get released or I'm going to have success. That's really where I'm at. So I had a really good spring, and then started in AA and then ended up getting jumped up to AAA. Again, had a lot of success, and then went back the next year to AAA, same thing, was on a really good team, had success. And then Baltimore had a need that they thought I could fit, and they traded for me. And again, you're dealing with everything all over again. Different team, different organization, different pitching coach, different teammates, different city. So again, it took me a while to adjust. And, I think if I had gotten off to a good start right away with Baltimore, I had a chance of getting called up, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah. It's tough. Once, like we were saying earlier, once you leave your original organization, it's tough unless they want you to be the guy. So,
Yeah.
So after you were, I guess, bouncing around a little bit at the end, then you played one year of independent ball at the end, which I also did too. Where did you feel like your career was at that point?
Well, I was coming off of an elbow surgery with the Nationals. So the Nationals signed me as a free agent in 2015. I pitched maybe 2 months in Harrisburg. Did well, but my arm was pretty much hurting the entire time.
Yeah.
But again, I'm having success. I'm like, I'm not going to shut this down. But it just got to a point where it was too much. I was pitching in Trenton, New Jersey, and just threw a pitch. Didn't feel pop, but I just walked off. I'm like, this isn't good.
You knew.
So had surgery a few weeks later, and then rehabbed it for basically a whole year down in Florida with the Nationals. I was coming back from my rehab starts in Florida, just wasn't throwing hard, and they decided to release me right then and there. So at that point, I just got in my car and drove home to Arizona, and my agent made a few calls, and I was able to go over to Sugar Land and kind of reassess everything, see if there was anything left in there. And I actually didn't finish the season there. I went home again because it was painful, and found out I needed more surgery again. So I didn't pitch that bad in Sugar Land, but again, I'm just like, I don't think no one's going to pick me up.
Right.
I can sit here and have fun, but whatever, that's not why I'm here. I'm trying to get out of here, but it wasn't going to happen. So I just kind of saw the writing on the wall and got out.
So what was your transition like after baseball? Where did you kind of find yourself? I think you said you did some coaching, and then you eventually got into real estate. How did you make that transition, which a lot of guys struggle to do once they're done playing sports?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of ex-players still struggle with, whether it's, the day after you get released or you retire to forever. I mean, it's just very challenging to deal with. So for me, it was just basically stay around baseball because it's all I knew. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have anything that I was really passionate about besides baseball. So I started coaching at the amateur level a little bit and tried to do some lessons and make money where I could. And then after about a year of that, I realized that you can't really have a career in that.
Right.
So I made the jump into real estate. My brother does real estate out on the East Coast in New York and New Jersey area, and my father-in-law does it out here. He's been doing it for 20 some years in Arizona. So had a good supporting cast around me to get into real estate and help me get off to a good start.
Did you have, once you got into it, did you have a not really a customer base, but how did you start to build your network in the real estate world?
It's just challenging because, again, it's something that a lot of players get into is real estate. Any kind of sales job, it's something that we feel comfortable in because it's a competition and you're on your own to, get out of it what you put in. So it's something that I was attracted to because of that aspect. But for me, it was just former teammates, that wanted to live in Arizona because it's great for the wintertime and the off season to make home here. So, I had a lot of former teammates as my clients, and then from there just grew it mainly through referral basis and trying to grow my name and not just a baseball player, but now as a real estate agent, which is kind of the bigger challenge. And when people hopefully, see my name, they want to think real estate as opposed to baseball, which I didn't want to happen, but that's where we're at. So it's been fun reconnecting with a lot of former teammates and, family and friends that still live in Arizona. And, I'm so passionate about this state because it's where I was born and raised. And so I have a lot of fun, showing clients around different areas that they might not know about. Scottsdale is more than just Old Town.
Right.
So it's just so much fun to be passionate about Arizona and the real estate and everything that we're growing into. And I just have a good time with that.
Yeah. What are the most, booming areas of people that don't really know about at this point? Because Arizona's had a huge growth, but where is it mostly now?
We've had a lot of there's some older lots in Arcadia area. That's kind of just west of Old Town in the Phoenix area, Central Phoenix. That has a lot more character. So it's definitely more appealing to a younger crowd, and some multi-million-dollar homes are going in there with, different style, more modern. But for me, I live up in North Scottsdale. There's a million golf courses up here, and it's a little more quiet, and I enjoyed that. So, there's tons of areas that are getting built on, every single day. So it's just growing like crazy, and I'm excited about what's coming.
For sure. And speaking of Phoenix, I want to shift to basketball because I know you're a big NBA guy, of course. You're Phoenix Suns. What did you I know you watched The Last Dance. What did you think, or what were your memories of that 93 Suns team with Barkley and Dan Marley and KJ and that whole group?
Yeah, I was saying at the time, I was only, 5 or 6 years old, but I still remember like where I was when they lost. Like it's crazy, but for me being that young and seeing Charles Barkley and KJ and Dan Marley and all those guys, it was easy to be a fan, and they were having success. So I was all about it. My dad was a huge Suns fan, so from there it was cool to watch all those highlights because there's so much to it that I didn't remember, and I didn't get to remember Michael Jordan playing in his prime, but watching all that back, you just appreciate it even more, and it just makes sense that they beat us. So
Yeah,
you can't be too bitter about it. Yeah, you're just like, that makes sense. They were a good team, so
right.
It was fun just as a sports fan to see that. I think a lot of people, even if they aren't a basketball fan, they appreciate everything that was about. So. And
probably, I guess, the highlight of Arizona sports, even though you guys don't have a lot of championships, was the 0-1 Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Unless, I don't know if we're counting like our arena football team, but that's between the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals and the Suns and the Coyotes. We got one championship. So
yeah,
it's a town that loves their sports, but it's also something that we haven't had a lot of success. And I was at the Super Bowl game against the Steelers where, Santonio Holmes, drags his toe and gets in the end zone. So. Yeah, it's just Heartbreak Hotel every single year. So, again, everyone, we're getting ready to start the next season with the Cardinals, and everyone's pumped. And, the Suns are going in the right direction with Devin Booker and, really good draft. So, I think there's a lot of bright spots coming. But, again, you're dealing with the Lakers and the Warriors. And, as much as that hurts to say, it's going to be really tough.
Right, exactly. I'd say the one time, and you were in high school, so you definitely remember this, that the Suns had a chance was like the 05, 06, 07 Suns with Nash and Mike D'Antoni and all that. What do you remember about those teams?
Yeah, the run and gun Suns. There was a time in high school where, again, it's easy to be a sports fan. The Suns were having so much success, and we go to my buddy's house, a big group of us, to watch those Lakers Suns playoff games, and you just remember Rajah Bell clotheslining, Kobe. It was just so intense that it was just so cool to be around that. And obviously the Lakers took advantage of that and ended up winning a bunch. But yeah, I think just watching Steve Nash and Amari and Sean Marion, Raja Bell, and it's just a fun team to watch. And they'd score 200 points a game and give up 210. So it wasn't really a formula for winning championships, but it made it fun to watch and brought a good fan base back to Arizona.
D'Antoni still hasn't figured that out yet. That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does. Consistent, though. I like that.
Finally, I wanted to ask you about, since you were a high school draft pick, you've definitely, I'm sure you've helped some kids along the way. What's your message to kids as far as when they get drafted or, should they go to college? What's kind of your rule of thumb, and what do you share with younger kids coming up, going through the same thing you went through?
Yeah, just coaching at the high school level now, I think the biggest thing that, I want to be a part of is helping them through any recruiting process, whether it's the draft or college. And, I kind of see my value as helping them in that aspect more than I can help them in a bullpen. So for me, it's just finding the right fit for them. And, not everyone's going to go D1 and get drafted very high. So let's plan accordingly. If that's the case, that's amazing, but the odds are against them. So it's all about finding the right fit and basically being transparent with them and the parents, because they're a huge part of that process. So for me, I like to be honest of where I see them and evaluate them. And, not everyone's going to go to Oregon State. So let's figure out where you can go. And it's been fun because a lot of my former teammates are now coaching at the college level. So, some are at a smaller D1, some are, at Washington State or Sac State. And then I have a buddy who's coaching at Boise State. So kind of all over the realm of college baseball. So it's been fun sending them video or my analysis of certain guys that I've coached and see how we can get them in their program. But my biggest advice is just not worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I never thought about getting drafted when I was pitching my high school games. It was really just, I want to win this game today and try to win a state championship. And I know if that happens, then I'm going to be in a pretty good position going forward. So there's no point to really worry about it.
Right.
And I see so many kids stress about, what tournaments they're going to play in and who's going to be there to watch. And, they're just not enjoying any of it at all. So that's the biggest thing for me. I enjoyed every bit of high school because of that, where I never really saw it as a time for me to go pitch in front of scouts. It was just, I want to compete with my buddies and win the game today and see where that takes us. So basically just staying in the moment and not really worrying about anything, because it's going to happen if it's something that you worked hard enough for.
Right. 100%. I like that. We'll end on that. Jimmy, thank you for coming on. I know once sports comes back, we'll definitely have to chat again and get your takes on today's sports when we get a chance to do that. So I appreciate you coming on with me.
Of course. Thanks.
Definitely. We'll talk to you soon, man.